Hello there, fellow zombie slayers. My name is Stanley557. What is in an intro cutscene? An intro cutscene should be able to tell us the time, place, characters, and any other details that the audience should know about the story of a map. Today, we'll be looking at the top 10 Treyarch Zombie cutscenes, but before we begin, here's the criteria I used when considering the order of the cutscenes. Story, plot, character, and stylization. Now that information is out of the way, let's begin. Number 10, 5. 5 was the very first map to have an intro cutscene, other than Noct, to give us a story and explanation about what is happening. We quickly learn who our characters are, who we are playing as, where we are, and the unique situation we've been thrusted into. We get to play as JFK, Fidel Castro, Robert McNamara, and Richard Nixon, fighting against hordes of the undead instead of finishing their meeting with the communist dictator. Even though the cutscene is short and slightly uneventful, in the grand scheme of things, it provides a hilarious scenario that no player could have seen coming. The only reason I would put this cutscene at number 10 is because of how dull it is compared to the other cutscenes on this list. This map just goes to show you that even enemies during the Cold War can put aside their differences to kill a bunch of zombies.
Do not pray for easy lives, my friends. Pray to be stronger men.
Number 9, Der Eisendrache. Now, I know what you're thinking. What the heck? Why is Der Eisendrache only at number 9? Trust me, I'm a huge fan of the map, but the only part of the map that is lacking is in the intro cutscene. Granted, it is the only one in Black Ops 3 that is done in the comic book style, but the style feels very limiting compared to what is done later on in the season. The cutscene does begin with an intense opening as our characters are using the giant robot from The Giant to chase down a truck carrying Ultimus Dempsey. But the cutscene falls off once it's destroyed by a simple Panzerschreck. And once our characters actually arrive at the castle, all we learn is that Dempsey and the others don't trust Richthofen. A lackluster cutscene for probably one of the best maps in the season.
I should never have trusted you, Richthofen. Never.
Number 8, Blood of the Dead. Now this is where things will actually get interesting. This was a hard call, because this cutscene is actually amazing. It explains what our characters are doing here, the problems they encounter, the plot twist that they are now trapped, and the idea that Richthofen didn't have a plan. It's well-paced, has great action from all our characters, and it really shows us the simple, raw power these zombies have. The player can feel the helplessness of the characters as they struggle to find an escape off of this island of the damned. Sweet and simple. Number 7, Call of the Dead. So imagine this concept being introduced to the Treyarch employees. Alright guys, what about a map that takes place in modern day, and it features horror icons like Sarah Michelle Gellar, Michael Rooker, Robert Englund, and Danny Trejo fighting a zombified George Romero in the Siberian mountains, where 935 soldiers used to experiment on prisoners of war. Soon George Romero is turned into a zombie, and the characters go off script and must fight for their survival. It's hilarious, intense, and is truly the map to get any player into the wackiness of the zombie storyline. Number 6, Voyage of Despair. The Chaos Crew had big shoes to fill, and Voyage of Despair was a perfect map to introduce them in. The coolest thing about the map is the setting. I mean, come on, you get to battle zombies on the Titanic. How cool does that sound? The cutscene is also amazing. It perfectly tells us who each of these characters are, their special traits, their goals, who they are looking for, and an introduction to the villains of the season. The music, produced by Jack Wall, has grown to a point where it can really complement the scenes that it's in. Just in the intro alone, we go from a classic 1910s jazz orchestra to the sounds of espionage secrecy, and finally, a grand finale with the iceberg looming just overhead. I'd say this was a cool cutscene. Number 5, Mob of the Dead. Mob of the Dead has an interesting premise about a bunch of inmates attempting an escape plot, but the plot thickens when it turns out this is just another ring around the rosy, as we learn our characters are trapped in purgatory, doomed to their immortal souls dying in an infinite loop. The song Rusty Cage really goes to amplify the scene well, and even gets going, but I feel like it's cut off short because the song only plays during the last third of the scene. But it does have a unique atmosphere that no other map has been able to copy since. Number 4, Shadows of Evil. The Apothecons bring chaos, and the Keepers bring balance. In this installment of Zombies, we follow 4 corrupt souls unleashing hell upon their world and redeeming themselves throughout the Easter egg. In the intro cutscene, we are quickly and expertly explained who the characters are, what they've done, what drives them to do the things they do, and how they are manipulated by the Shadow Man, all along with the sweet music by Jack Wall. This cutscene definitely set the standard for Black Ops 3. Its expert storytelling can tell us everything we need to know about the characters without knowing them at all. The colors are bold, vibrant, and the atmosphere created by the Shadow Man sets the mood as we watch our characters fall from grace. Number 3, Garad Krovi. Now, if there was a cutscene that truly defined what it meant to be an amazing cutscene, I would have to choose Garad Krovi. This cutscene answers our questions about what happened to Peter McCain in this universe, how we got from Zetsubo to Stalingrad, who they are searching for, the twists that the city entails, and the rocking music to accompany it all. This cutscene is amazing for many reasons. Number 1, the parachute scene is amazing, and it makes you wonder how they accomplished this with the mocap suits. Number 2 are the dragons, and come on, how aren't those cool? Number 3, Ultimus Nikolai. Now, we all know the Russian man who had 9 wives, but now we get to see what happens when you give that drunken, disturbed Russian a mech suit and have him fight out his aggression during a weaponized battle of Stalingrad with dragons and zombies, and the possible threat of 4 new soldiers landing. We get to see his thought process, the weapons on the mech, and his strategies against his foes, which are simply just shooting. This cutscene was definitely the peak of Black Ops 3, and it's easy to see why. Number 2, Classified. After acquiring the focusing stone from Shangri-La, our crew heads to the moon, but when Dempsey breaks the teleporter, they are sent toward the Pentagon, fighting off the hordes of the undead unleashed by Dr. Yuri and Samantha. This cutscene is the only cutscene so far to do this experimental style, and it works perfectly. The map matches the time period, and the visuals are something we've never seen before, and it's awesome to see our Ultimus crew back in the story. This cutscene also leaves us with some questions like, what happened to Yuri? How did our 5 crew not notice this mayhem? And does this map take place pre or post moon? It's both. This cutscene definitely deserves the first place spot, but there was one other cutscene that resonated just a little bit more. Number 1, Origins. 2 German scientists sought to harness dark and mysterious forces, but what they didn't know was what their research would unearth. Origins is a perfect cutscene. We understand where we are, what we are doing, and who we are. The music by Avenged Sevenfold is beautifully mixing together the themes of rock and heavy metal, complementing the action by our new and young Primus crew as they slaughter their way through zombies attempting to get to Dr. Edward Richtofen. We get to see their thought process just by the facial expressions and movement alone, and we even get our first glimpse at what Ludwig Maxis actually looks like. The zombies, for the first time in a while, were legitimately horrifying, and we are introduced to a different version of Samantha. There's mystery, there's horror, there's action, and it's all wrapped in a neat little bow that's just under 4 minutes long. Easily the best cutscene in all of Treyarch Zombies.